Meanwhile, in the backdrop, we're getting pursuit to try to find out why Hillary Clinton went ahead and put her server in place. And the man leading that charge on the Oversight Committee has been Jason Chaffetz. Not only that, where the emails were, why you erased them all you did, why you didn't tell the truth, why your story keeps changing. Chairman, this has driven you nuts personally, correct?
Well, it's one of the biggest breaches in the history of the State Department. You got classified information released out in the public would have some people killed. So, of course, we're going to pursue it. Hillary Clinton created this convenient relationship with herself, and yet when we look around, the people closest to her, working for her, are now all out there pleading the fifth.
Which is odd. Here's what you did earlier in the week. You are on the Oversight Committee, and you're sitting in front of you are some of the IT guys that you wanted there. Oh, excuse me, this is you with the FBI. This is at a hearing with an FBI agent. Is his name Herring?
Yes.
The FBI liaison to Capitol Hill. So here's what you asked him, and here's what he got.
Will the FBI provide to Congress the full file with no redactions of personal identifiable information?
I cannot make that commitment sitting here today.
Then I'm going to issue a subpoena, and I'm going to do it right now. So let's go. I've signed this subpoena. We want all the 302s, and we would like the full file. You can accept service on behalf of the FBI?
Certainly.
You are hereby served.
So you wanted what?
Well, I didn't want to have to do that, but at the same time, the FBI, and we'd appreciate this, released just a small part of the unclassified version out into the public. Why aren't they releasing all of the unclassified information? That's not asking too much, and it's a commitment that Director Comey made when he came and testified. We also, as Congress, believe we can look under the hood, so to speak. It's how we do oversight. It's why they founded our committee back in 1814. We get to see what they do. It's a closed case, and yet they won't allow us to see email addresses or who is communicating, or they won't even let us see who the FBI agents were that were doing these interviews. That's what oversight is, and that's what I'm committed to do. So we issued a subpoena, and it's due by the end of the day today.
So we just can't explain, too, why you've asked Brian Pagliano to come forward. You asked the representative from Platte River, right?
Yes.
From them who handled the server, and you had one other IT expert actually show up and tell his story.
Well, he's not an IT expert. This is a person, Mr. Cooper, who worked for President Clinton. He has no security clearance, and yet he set up the server for the Secretary of State. He had access, unfettered access to it throughout her entire time while she was the Secretary of State and afterwards. No dual authentication, no encryption. Are you kidding me? The Chinese, the Russians, and a guy in a van down by the river, I'm sure, trying to hack into that thing, and you got a guy who's buying something off the shelf with no IT experience, no background, can't answer basic questions about safety and security, and we're supposed to believe that information wasn't hacked?
So, yeah, by the way, so he's getting all this information, and we don't know what he's doing with it. We don't know if he could be compromised. We do know this. You did ask him directly, who do you work for? He's like, both, the foundation and for Hillary Clinton. Right there, the commingling that you feared, and she was warned against by Senator Lugar. She breached it.
It was right from the get-go. They set this up on the very day she started her Senate confirmation hearings. Then during the confirmation hearings, she assured the senators that there would be no commingling. Meanwhile, they were setting up her private email address in a server. It's totally commingled with the foundation, right. Clinton Executive Services, the personnel.
Who took the fifth?
Well, we had two people from the Platte River Networks. That's their constitutional right to do it, but when you have immunity and you have the Department of Justice saying they're not going to prosecute anybody, you'd think they'd be singing like songbirds. And then Mr. Pagliano says, well, I don't want to have to come to Congress again. That's sort of like saying, hey, I don't want to have to take a shower again because, hey, I'm just going to get dirty again.
I showered Monday. Why?
We're a different committee. You have to come do this. When you issue a subpoena, it's not optional.
What question do you have for him?
Well, he seems to be sort of almost the trigger man, if you will, the one who's applying the bleach bit, trying to actually destroy these documents. What I'd really like to know is who told him to do it, because I don't think anybody really believes that these low-level IT people just unilaterally go out and destroy documents. There's this conference call with Clinton's senior-most people, like Cheryl Mills and David Kendall, her attorney, And then within days, you've got Platte River Networks out there actually destroying documents that are under subpoena.
But you know the explanation. The explanation was I was told to get rid of these documents every 60 days. When I realized I didn't, I had that oh blank moment. And that's when I quickly erased everything with bleach bit.
When there's a Department of Justice employee who goes out and says there will be no prosecutions here, then explain that to us. I want to understand that. But he also knew that there was a preservation order. We also know that these are federal records, and you also know there's a subpoena in place. Why was he given that direction? Why did Cheryl Mills change that directive to destroy federal records? They're not Hillary Clinton's emails, per se. They're federal records.
Right. And by the way, the exasperation that's been revealed in Colin Powell's hacked emails show basically she screws up everything she touches out of hubris. That's really what we're witnessing now for the unbiased observer. And I'm surprised more Democrats haven't expressed outrage, because they have no problem expressing outrage when George Bush did something or when Donald Trump does something. But I don't see any Democrats seeing such egregious acts of obfuscation and not saying anything. Meanwhile, when you serve that subpoena to the FBI. Have you heard anything since?
No, they haven't. Well, we've been talking with staff, but they have till the end of today to get us that information.
One of the people on your side is somebody who's not a Republican. Alan Dershowitz said this on the Kelly File, Cut 41.
Believe it or not, as a liberal Democrat, I'm on Chaffetz's side on this one. The FBI redacts far too many documents. You want to make a good investment, invest in that pen company that blacks out things on FBI files. That's all they do. And the FBI has no right to make that determination unilaterally. We have a system of checks and balances, and Congress has the right to see anything that can't be either kept from them on good grounds, but there should be a presumption that Congress gets it, and that presumption should be overcome only by a strong showing.
So he understands your frustration.
Very well said. I mean, this should not be a partisan issue. We demonstrated time and time again how Democrats have gone after these documents. The Congressional Research Service, a nonpartisan group we relied on, they look back over 85-year history. There's no case law, no precedent, nothing in the Constitution. We asked the FBI if there was any case law they could point to. They said no. Then I'm left with no chance or nothing to do but issue a subpoena. I didn't want to do that. And you had the FBI director pledge his transparency on this, but with all due respect, Mr. Director, you won't let us see things that we believe we should be able to see.
Chairman, first, I got to thank you for the loyalty to the show and always moving the ball forward here. What can we look forward to seeing next week, the week after? I know you guys go on break soon.
So we have on Thursday, we have a continuation here. We're gonna give Mr. Pagliano another chance to come up and do what he should have done the first time. I'm bending over backwards to be as accommodating as I can, but my patience is more than tested on this. And we have other hearings, this EpiPen, the rapid rise in the price. So we had some other things going on as well. It's not the only thing, but gosh, this is one of the biggest breaches of security in the history of the State Department.
Lastly, I understand the Hillary Clinton camp, through her emissaries indirectly, has given word to Republicans that if you elect me president, you get behind me, I'm going to put some Republicans in the cabinet, and I'll be somebody that'll reach across the aisle. Are you buying it?
Of all the candidates I probably have ever seen, what scares me most about Hillary Clinton is her propensity to look into the camera and just lie. I just don't believe her. I don't trust her. I don't think America does. And I think if she were to get into office, she'd be one of the worst presidents in the history of the United States. It's unfathomable to me that that's even a consideration, but she scares me that way.
Well, by the way, are your colleagues falling for it?
I hope not. I mean, everybody gets to make their own decisions, but her history, her background, she's earned it. She just can't tell the truth.
Can't thank you enough. Jason Chaffetz, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, you got to do a lot of research. It never stops.